Hey, this is Sarah Poff. I'm off to the beach today. Got my umbrella to protect me from the sun. I'm looking for that white sand, maybe like in Pensacola. Oh man, it's been a while since I've been there. Probably like 37 years. So this is a memory painting we're doing today. I thought these would be fun if you've been to several beaches and you have little items around that you might be able to collect some of those special shells that you like, paint a painting about the ocean, or maybe it's a lake, or maybe it's a river you like, and you would like to have a souvenir painting. So that's what this one is. It's a souvenir painting. This one is from Ferdinand Beach. That's where my cousin lives. She just lives right down the street from the ocean. Her neighbors live on the edge of the ocean. Did you know there were houses on the edge of the ocean? I didn't, but there are. And so these shells were picked up there on Ferdinand Beach. Amelia Island, they call it. And then her little section is Ferdinand Beach. So let's see. I guess it's time to get started with that painting. Okay. Now we're going to paint the water sections first. And then we'll dry it just a bit, and then we're going to put sand and our shells on there. I did actually paint a tan color under here in case the sand doesn't fill it all up. That way the background doesn't show up as much. Now, when you think about the deeper ocean, we have a deeper blue. Then we have some teal a lot of times. Then we have some splashes of bubbles that bubble up. And then we have along the shoreline. And it's sometimes get us a little whiter there. So we're going to try to make some of those layers. Now, I'm one of those people that, oh, this is heavy. I get the big bottles and I mix most of my colors. This is some teal that I did buy, but I also want to show you that you could do your own. You don't have to depend on those because you can mix every color. So I'm putting out a little blue. Now I did have to go back in and buy a better blue. The blue that I got in the big bottle is this blue. It's not too much white in it. It's got something else in it that they mixed in the company, which sometimes they do with the craft paint. I like the craft paint for this project because you can go on quick with it. It can dry quick, and then you can do the paintings. Because our goal is to have a painting, to paint this painting in about an hour. That's our goal, to have it mostly complete in an hour. Sometimes there's a little extra details to add to it later, but mostly in an hour. I use a lot of times I use just the canvas board. This one is a different kind of board. It's kind of like a illustration board that I painted on. I've done it on masonite. Of course, these skills could transfer to watercolor paper, especially if you're like me and you do heavy on watercolor, or they could be oils. Oils is fun to work in because it takes a really long time to dry. That could be a deterrent for you. However, the good thing is that you can keep improving your painting over time and it doesn't dry for quite a while. I did oils in college and then just kind of left them behind because I like the acrylic and the flexibility of the craft acrylic makes it go really fast. So I want to kind of just do a beach line. I don't want it to be straight. Let's see, maybe I want it a little bit more like this, kind of rippled up the white. Then we're going into the bluer section. So then teal and then the bluer section up here. That's kind of how I'm going to subdivide my painting there. I'm going to start with the tan. So like I told you, I just, use the basics, and mix is what I like to do. I just like to mix my own so I can have control. The tan that we're going to do for the beach underneath the sand, so it's going to be brown and it's going to be white. Now I like to pull the brown into the white because I feel like I have more control. You certainly don't want to bring a lot in because you don't want to mix all of that white up in there and then you waste a lot of paint. Sometimes I put a little yellow in that. Okay, so something about like that I think is what I want. Oh, I think I want a little bit more. See, it got a little yellow on me. So I'm going to add a little bit more brown back into it. A lot of times I do go ahead and buy the big one, brown, green, and orange. When I'm doing a lot of paintings, brown's hard to do because it's really red, yellow, and blue mixed together evenly with the appropriate colors of those paints, which sometimes the craft paints don't have that pure paint. And then green and orange, I just do a lot of those two colors, and so therefore I just go ahead and buy the big amounts. The other colors, they don't come in big amounts, and I don't use them as often. So, and I do like to have that control. Now, I would like to see what this looks like. I think that'll work because this is mostly an undercolor. I must have had paint on my plate, on the underneath. This is a Corel plate. It works real good because I can let this dry, slough it off. I like letting it dry and then putting water on it and sloughing the paint off. I can make things out of that, but it's also easier to clean up than if you have the messy acrylic in there. It just takes forever to get the messy acrylic off of the plate, out of the brushes actually. Brushes, you've got to do it though. Okay, paint, 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 paint. We can paint big, wide strokes. What is your favorite beach that you've been to? I've been to, let's see, Pensacola, Ferdinand Beach. What was that one in college? Oh, Fort Lauderdale. That's a long time ago. I just remember standing, living in Missouri, as we do. I remember standing there at the ocean side watching that sun. Oh, how beautiful it was as it rippled across. And then watching the moon. Oh, views you don't get here in Missouri. We have a lot of great things in our state, though. I'd rather be no place but Missouri to live. I do like to visit other places, but, I'm a 6th generation Missourian. They were here prior to the Civil War. I like history, too, can you tell? I think that's why I like the memory paintings. This is something I can put on my wall. It's a souvenir that I made of things I collected on the beach. I also thought this, not to limit it to just people who've been to the beach. How about if you go to a river, you go to a lake? We have lots of lakes around. If you go to those places and collecting little items that you see, you might even just put the river through here and do a bank on each side and little items that you've collected or seen along the way that would look fun on there. Just a memory painting. Okay, now I'm going to just go for a white. It's a little bit of an off-white is what I have there. So I'm going to go for a straight off-white and then work into some of the teal and the dark blue, and then we're going to add some other colors into it. All right. Got to get me a little drink here. I've been talking all day, so I've got to have some fluids, some water there. Okay, white, and we want it to be an off-white. I've already got that teal on the edge of there from when I was painting a painting with it earlier. So I'm thinking I can just take that and a little water. Just kind of mix this in. It looks like I need a tad more blue. So let's bring a little more blue. So let's a tad more green. A little more green. I think sometimes people become frustrated with this process because it takes a while to get there if you haven't done it too many times before. Now, I want a little more blue. Oh, there we go. I'm going to start with that, and then I'm going to do some parts that are lighter and some parts that are darker. Hey, I think I said I was going to start with this, and I started with this. Well, I mixed up this color, so we're just going for it. Life sometimes just does that. So maybe you have some friends that you went to the beach with and you had this really great time with them and you want a little memory painting. You want to have a little paint party with them. Maybe they went to a different beach than you did and you want to just get together and have a little party while you're doing it. Doesn't take too much. Once you've got the basic supplies, and I'm not picky about brushes. Those are the ones I've been using on the other 3 paintings I did today. There's some other backup brushes. I just go for it. I don't have it has to be this or that, or somebody one time started asking me, what size of brush are you using? It's like, I don't know. I just pick it up and go with it. I just pick it up and go with it. If I don't like it, I just switch out and get another one. Now, I realize I have a number of brushes, but you could go in and into a craft store and just buy an assortment of a few brushes. If you buy them in an assortment, they cost less than if you go and buy certain brushes. Yes, sometimes, they're better. I'm sure. I've used them. I bought them in college. They are better. However, I can make these work. And I don't feel really bad about letting my art students that I have, sometimes I have private students or a small group of students, I don't feel bad about letting them use them if they're not like real expensive brushes. And then if something happens to it, just buy another set. We live in a time when things aren't as expensive as they used to be. Still remember when I went into that college bookstore and had to buy all those oils and all those brushes and the exact tube and color. Whew. Glad things have changed. So as you see, I'm just painting it in for right now, kind of getting a base coat on there. Sometimes they call it back painting. Just kind of using it how I've already mixed it, and then I'm going to blend some more colors in there in a minute. Let's see. Paint, 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 paint. I sure do like to paint. What's your favorite thing to paint? Do you have a favorite thing? Do you like something that you can hang up in your house? Do you like to tell stories through painting? During COVID, one of the things I did was I got my storytelling certificate at Mid-Continent Public Library system here in the greater Kansas City area. And I now go around and I tell stories. I've been all over the state. Neosho, Missouri, which is in the southwest. I've been in Dexter, Missouri, which is in the southeast. I've been in St. Louis, and I've been all over the Kansas City area, and all over, you know, the Columbia, Missouri area. Just because I reached out and did a little something new. Now this time I'm dragging in some of that darker blue. So I just drug it in with that same brush, but then I'm going to get a different brush to kind of blend it in. Blend, 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 blend. Yes, yes, yes. There's a lot of blending to do. Sometimes it's fun and sometimes it's not as fun. All right. I did talk about that white I was going to do. I suppose I better do that. This brush looks good. I told you about my brushes. Looky there. I bet some granddaughter used that one. She thinks she washes them out good. Sometimes she does and sometimes she doesn't. Okay, well, I can't use that one. I have to get a different one. Yeah, I just don't get upset about it. All right, that one works. There we go. That one works. Okay, so this time I want that white. Now, I don't have it's got a tad of yellow. Can you tell it's white with a tad of yellow? I don't have white with a tad of yellow on my palette. So I'm going to add, I have yellow there, so I'm just going to add white. My white has some tan in it, so I don't want to get those two together. So I added this right here. I'm going to bring a little yellow. Okay, now I think it does need a little bit of that brown. Okay, we're going to try this. We're going to try this again. Sometimes you have to do that in life. All right, so this time I'm going to add a tad of brown first. See, sometimes even I have to work harder at it. See, sometimes. But the more you do something like this, the easier it becomes. Not that sometimes it isn't hard. But if you throw enough mud on that wall, some of it's going to stick. Okay, let's see what this... Okay. So right now I'm just going to basically, it's a little bit more yellow than I want still, but I'm going to go with it. And then I'm going to add a little white on top. And this painting, a lot of times I do it like just barely covering the canvas. We're working on trying to get some things filled in real quick. This one doesn't have as many details in it. And so a lot of times when I'm doing one like this, I give it a little bit thicker coat of paint. And as you learn and gain more skills, if you want things to look a little more dimensional, then making the paint thicker on there is something that you'll want to pursue and learn how to do more of. Sometimes I think about, you know, it's just kind of like a greeting card. Greeting cards cost a lot. If you can learn to do some simple paintings and you need to send, you can't send the one with the shells glued on it, but you could certainly send a beach scene forward to a friend, and I made the 8 by 10 size, put it in an envelope and sent it to someone, and it just made her day. She's not feeling good right now. It made her day, and it really didn't cost me any more than a fancy card I could have found. So I was very happy about that. Now I'm going to add a little more of white to that, because color's about experimenting and getting what you want. What kind of fun do you have when you go to the ocean or to the lake? My brother likes to snorkel. I've never got an opportunity to do that, but he does. So have you ever had an opportunity? I have a lot more fun with my art than he doesn't like art. He really doesn't care about art. So we each have things in our life that we like, and they're different. And I would assume that people watching this video, that some of you like art a lot, some of you like it more as a craft. Some of you are just wanting, I know some ladies have said before, they just wanted a relaxing something to do, something for me to do kind of thing, as opposed to always being helping out their families. It was just a time for them to get away and do something. The good thing is when it's on YouTube, you can choose your time. Send yourself an email with the link in it if you find it and you don't have time to do it now. Gather up the supplies. Supplies don't cost much once you've got your paints. And if you're not going to do as much painting as I do, just buy little ones of each color. But remember, you don't have to do all the colors. You do red, yellow, blue, black, white, and then I like to add in brown. You can mix the rest. And I do add in green because of doing a lot of painting with green. It just speeds me up. And I do in the fall, I do the orange, because I do a lot of items with children, and it just speeds it up. Sometimes it's about the timing. I try to watch my time, just like this painting. You know, this painting's supposed to be about an hour. About an hour. And I do my best to stay with those. Okay, so now I have my basic colors, but I want variety in that. So that's when I need to go back now and see about adding some variety. So I'm going to go back and add some of the different layers of colors. I've been talking a lot today. I'm going to have another drink here of water. Sorry about that. All right, I'm going to take a smaller brush. I'm going to take a little bit of this teal. I'm just going to kind of swirl it in like this. Then I'm going to go back and get this brush and just kind of weave it in, kind of like the waves would go. I want to do that again. This time I want to add a little bit more into the white of it here. Now you might want to look on images in your pictures and look for some water, excuse me, and see some of the layering of the different waters in the ocean. Maybe where you went has a certain color that you want to remember. Or maybe it's a dream painting that's where you would like to go. I got to be on the beach last, it was to be a year ago, the end of June, and I hadn't been for 37 years on the East Coast side. I'd been to the Gulf down there in Texas, Port Lavaca, and some other places. Corpus Christi. Corpus Christi's beautiful. I lived close down there part of the time in the 1980s. But I hadn't really been to the eastern shorefront, and I've never been to the western shorefront of the United States. Okay, now I'm going to take just a little bit of the dark blue and try to weave it back in here a little. And this is definitely one of those times you want to do the stand back from the painting. And you want to look and see what it looks like. Okay, I'm going to turn it around so I can start to see what it looks like a little bit here. I could probably paint from this side now. Oh, yes, I can paint from this side. Nope, I was painting from that side because that side was partially dry. It's still not dry there. I was just fooling myself. So I think the next thing I need to do is I need to get the hairdryer out. Let me get the hairdryer out here and blow that dry. If there's a mistake to be made, I've made it first, let me tell you. Oh. I'm going to work on a little white on that because on the darkest blue because that still needs to dry more. And I don't want to start putting sand on yet. I want to hold off on that just a bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my brush and I'm just going to highlight along some of the curves that this takes. So I've got a really little brush. And then what I'm going to do in a minute is I'm going to take and blend some of it in. So some of it will remain and some of it will just blend down in. So as the ocean is pulling forward into the beach, you start to see some white cappy kind of things coming. Sometimes I need to wipe it back off. What I do is wipe it back off, kind of get the brush rounded and as much of a point on the end as I can. Sometimes that works better than others. one of the paintings that I did in college. Yeah, I made some mistakes on. I did. I got it finished. That's what I want you to do. I want you to not worry about the mistakes you get. I want you to, your focus is to get it finished. To get it finished. And then you can always come back and add more later. I always lay it, well, at the house I live at now, I put it on the piano because I see the piano coming and going as I'm going, and I kind of look and go like, what should I do? But one of the stories I like to tell when I'm doing these workshops is about a house I went in. I used to have to, when I taught preschool, I used to have to go in, and I used to have to make home visits before the year started. And I went into this house, and as I was waiting for the lady to go get her son, I looked up over the fireplace and I went, who is that? Why would they have those people up there? Because I knew what the child looked like. I'd seen a picture of him. I knew what she looked like, and I was like, I just don't know. Well, then I got to thinking, I was like, well, the hair's the same color. It's the same amount of people. And then I realized, like that's the family. So I had taken the paintings I did in college, and I had hid them. I did. I hid every one of them. Behind the dresser, wherever, in the basement, wherever I could find to stick those things. Because I was not happy with myself. I couldn't do it. I wasn't good. There were those people who were really, really good. And yes, that was where I was with it. And so I went home, I pulled those out, and I put them up on my wall. I did. Didn't have money to have a frame for them, but I just stuck the canvas up and just enjoyed. So, it's all about enjoying, getting it where you can enjoy it, the perspective of it. When I do I do some commission paintings for different people about their families sometimes. And those are so hard for me. I really struggle. I study my subjects, I get pictures of them, I practice drawing them, I put the painting off, put the painting off, put the painting off, and then I finally do it. Well. They seemed like they really like it. And I freaked out about it this whole time. I just not good enough. They're not going to want it. They're not going to want to hang it in their house. And I had some really picky people who really liked it. I was like, whoa, maybe I'm a little, so don't be harsh on yourself. And that's easier said than done, I realize, because we're harshest on our own self usually. So now I'm just trying to blend this in some. I want to see it, but I don't want to see it quite as much. It might have dried a little bit there on me, so I might have to go back with a little teal to get that going a little more like what I want. All right, let's add a little blue into this. See if there's enough blue left in my brush. Try it out. If you can remember to try it out, that helps. Have you ever been to the beach when the wave would go in, go back out, and you were the first person that got to walk on that sand? You were the first one that got to walk on that sand after the water receded and went back out. What a fun feeling that is. I even did that at 65 years old. I thought it was fun. However, they do say I'm kind of stuck between kindergarten and 5th grade sometimes. That's what I taught. Okay, that one is still too wet. We're going to try for one of these because I want to stipple, I think is what they call it, but I want to do like that. I want to stamp it, and I want white because I want this to be that little bubbling up of the white. So now, because my plate looks like it does, and I've mixed a lot, I have to get me some more white out. Whoa, that's a lot of white. That will not work for just doing a little bit of this. Okay. I'm going to do it on my hand just because everything else around here is white besides my painting where I want it. I guess I could do it on my plate. There we go. This will work. I have another plate. Let's do it on this plate. I would say don't tell my husband that I do this with our plates, but he already knows. I'm the one that has to clean them, so it'll be all right. Now, if you have a brush like this, or you have a stiff brush like this, those work the best. Let me switch, because you might not have one of these, but you might have something like this, or even a house brush. I forgot to wash this one out. It's still blue, so I don't want to use it. But if you have something that's a house brush, you could use it and do that same kind of technique if the paint brushes you have aren't working. I don't know why you have to go out and buy more. It's just not good. Just not good. Okay, the plate to try it out. The other brush does work better, you see that. Let's see. But you could do, that is kind of a toothbrush kind of thing too that you could use on it. Of course, with a toothbrush, you've got to have it someplace where you're not going to get it all over. I'm just going to take one of these, and I'm just going to do that because I want it to have less at a time. Okay, try it out. Okay, here we go. So you might keep a few brushes. If you have some that look a little worse for wear, you might keep them for a purpose like this. See how that works? That works a lot like that stippling brush did. I don't usually buy things like that. Someone gave it to me. People find out I do arts and crafts, and they get tired of them. I pass them on. This takes a little bit of patience. Takes patience. Have patience, have patience. Don't be in such a hurry. Have patience, have patience. Don't be in such a hurry. Another song I used to sing in the classroom. Maybe my jokes get old, I don't know. If you watched a bunch, you might already know them. About the little boy who talked about me singing, and he wanted to know why I wasn't the music teacher, and then he apologized to me at the end of the year. He's like, "I'm so sorry, Mrs. Poff. I'm so sorry you didn't get to be the music teacher. I know you like to sing so much." And I thought, I only like to sing to keep you on task. Okay, let's see. We're going to try a different one. Oh, looky here. This is an uneven brush. that's just about past its lifetime. I think that might just be the ticket to add just a few little dots here and there. But I found out if I would just add a little sinking, they would stay on task just a little longer. They'd keep trying just a little longer. I see how I even like that, because now it's a little bit, you've got the lighter white underneath, and now you've got some bubbles up. Okay, that's coming around. Sometimes you just got to search for what you need. And who knew a brush that some people would throw away, somebody's cut it. At some point, somebody's cut it. Maybe me. I don't know. Maybe not. Surely I didn't cut that crooked, but I might have. I might have been wanting it for something like this. Okay. Now there's quite a bit on my painting. There's quite a bit of that across that tealy blue kind of section. So I'm just going to keep going with how I'm doing it. And then it's going to be thicker down here as we get closer to this area. Now this is definitely one you might want to look, step back and look at it. Maybe even across the room, as long as you're not worried about your paint coming off of there. If it's too thick, you don't want to do that. Okay, now I'm going to add a little teal in with it. I'm going to touch it to the water. I really don't, my paint's a little bit dry. I really don't want a lot of water in there, because you got to be careful about not too much water, not too little water. There's a compromise there. What's your favorite kind of shell to collect at the beach? When I went to my cousin's house, oh my goodness, of course, I told you she really is really close to the ocean. And she has in her front area, her welcome area, she has a shelf of containers. And these containers contain all the different shells that she's collected across time. Because she wanted to give some to my granddaughters, and she went out and picked out certain different ones. Oh my golly, it was pretty cool, all the different ones she had done. I think I'm going to just leave it like that. Now I have a mission, I have to admit this. So my studio is in a different place today. I forgot my shells. I had some I was going to bring, and then I got this sand. It's pretty white. And then I remembered, oh, Pensacola. I've been there. That sand's really white. This will work. This will work because, of course, this is craft sand. Now, if you want to make this painting and you don't have any beach sand, some places have it. in the craft area, there is sand art, that's for sure. So I've got my sand. Now I do try to stay with smaller shells. So I bought a mixed pack so I could have different sizes. So I need to go through. I'll put my shells on this plate. I want to go through and I want to pick out some different types. And I want to vary them because I want the center of interest to be somewhere about right here. The waves pull you around, and then the sand and shells pull you back in down here. So we want to look for small ones, different varieties. So there again, you just make it work. Sometimes things happen. We all have them. And we just somehow make it work. I would bet I've failed more times than a lot of people. And you just have to pick it back up, keep going forward. And I'm sure I'm not the best artist you've ever seen. I'm sure of that. But I have a lot of fun. Does that count for anything if I have a lot of fun? And you can have a lot of fun too. A lot of fun. Now there is this right here. I guess I did forget that. What this is hot glue. So what I did is I put a little piece of hot glue out, let it dry, try to make it flat with the hot glue gun. Don't touch it because it's still hot. Try to make it as flat as I could and then cut off the little tails around it. And then I painted it with that turquoise paint, so that it made it look like some bubbles of water around. So I did forget the hot glue gun. But I just used the teal acrylic paint on it and just glued them down. I thought it needed some teal color down into the sand part. So that's why I did that. Okay, I'm gonna pull my shells back off. Now I did cake this sand on there. You can see I did have to work at that. I put a lot of Elmer's glue on it. White glue. Well, it works. Whatever kind of glue you have, that works. Now my glue doesn't have tons in it, so I'm just going to open it. Plus I want a lot of glue. And this is kind of a messy part. It is. I don't mind getting messy. How about you? Do you like to get messy or not really? I don't mind. Yes, I've got black paint under my fingernail, around my fingernails, should I say. Kind of funny, the granddaughter that likes art the most, she likes her hands to be cleaner than the other one. It's kind of funny because she'll be doing art and then she'll have to go in there and she'll be getting into my manicure stuff to take care of it. Those children are something else sometimes. So I'm just kind of rubbing the Elmer's glue over the whole thing. White glue works, any kind of white glue. Now it might be that school glue. I don't even think this is school glue in here. I think it's just an old bottle. Somebody would throw them away at school, and then I would bring them home. They'd have make them a one use, and I always buy the big bottle and then I refill. The Elmer's glue that's not school glue works better. I was at a school the other day and the teacher called it by some other name I was not familiar with. But I'm sure they're going, they did that because that glue works better. That glue works better on a lot of different things. The school glue will come out of your clothes better. That's, that's part of it. And when kids are using it, you want to be able to get it out of their clothes, that's for sure. Yes, I saw that Pensacola Beach. Oh, well, before my daughter was born, and she's like 37. So that's a while. I think it was like 38 or 39 years ago I went. Spent a week there in a learning institution for the school I was getting ready to teach. Of course, the most memorable thing, I tell you how you just got to get yourself back up and go for it. Oh, golly gee. I was walking, and you had to wear dresses. There was required. You were in trouble if you didn't wear a dress or a skirt. So I'm wearing a dress. I'm trying to, dress up like they wanted you to. And it rains down there every time you turn around. And I wasn't used to walking that much in my dress shoes, and I just went splat on the sidewalk. Well, had to be at a meeting, wet or not wet, so I just got myself up, went to the meeting. That's what you have to do in life. You have to just get yourself up. Whether it's a painting or whether it's something else in life, just keep trying, keep going. Don't tell yourself you can't. Don't tell yourself you can't, because you can. You can. Okay. So now I want to put some glue on top of this, because how I did it is not going to stay there. You're going to kind of have to mix some glue in there. So, you have to just keep mixing in it. Mixing that sand in. Okay, I'm going to add some more sand to it. So I'm making it, it's not going to be like clay-like because we want it to spread, but it's definitely going to be a mixture here. Then I'm going to have to add a little water because it's sticking to my finger as I'm doing it. So as I get that mixed in, and I'm going to pat it. Now see, I'm starting to almost do it like you would paint, except this is with my finger. Okay. So it gets kind of messy. And then like you saw, once it kind of gets messy and you kind of get it blended together more, then you start to be able to get it to lay flat. And once in a while, you're going to have to go in there and take your finger out. You might be able to use a spoon. I'm just so used to putting my fingers in and going for it. Add a little more sand to it, because you're not going to want to leave it in that glue state on the top. You're going to want to be able to see the sand, but we need to be able to cover the whole thing with it. So I'm going to add some more water, kind of pat across, trying to cover the tan area. Remember, we did cover that tan. Our sand is white, which I could have left it that way, but I just kind of stayed with what the other painting had. Okay. See, I'm mixing the two together. You could try mixing this in a bowl if you want to. This was just the first way that popped into my head about how we might be able to do this. Okay, about got that edge done. Now I'm going to come this way. See, we're making it. We're getting there. We're getting there. Okay, a little more glue. We've got the biggest part of it done. Now we got to get this little section over here, which might be even a little bit harder because there's not going to be as much space to mix that together. It's time to get my finger a little cleaner. The main thing I'm trying to do is get on the edges. Try to get it straighter on the edges, and then we'll see about what this looks like in a minute. There's going to be some of that sand that's going to come off that's up there because some of it doesn't have glue to hold it. I guess I got a little glue there. So we might have to make our little sand line a little bit bigger. Got another paper towel under here I need to get out. Now I want to take the ends of a paintbrush. Oh, I actually have a stick. So maybe like if you have ever had a corn dog or something like that that comes at a restaurant or at home you've eaten something, take these and sharpen them in your pencil sharpener. You can use the end of a paintbrush too, but if you do that, then you can do along the edge. We don't want to go too much, looks like, because that tan is right there in that section. If we want to make this line look a little bit different, so I know I got glue up a little bit there. I can use the end too. Looks like the end would be a good thing to use right in there. I'm going to just push some of this down like this. Now, not all of that is going to stick. It's probably not all going to stick that I'm pushing down with my finger because it doesn't have much glue mixed in it. And then what I'm going to do, one of the next things I'm going to do is I'm just going to sprinkle on top of this mixture that we have that is sand and glue. I'm going to put more sand so that you can, because right now you're just mainly seeing like the Elmer's glue is the most of what you're seeing there. And so we're going to do this like you kind of would glitter. We want it, that top coat to look like it. You're going to need to leave this laying flat somewhere. Don't take and try to move it or try to shake that sand off now. If you do, you're going to lose it. It's going to just like slide off because it's pretty thick on there. But I just really wanted to add it that way because I wanted you to get the souvenirs into the sand. That was why I did it that way. I just wanted them to be there. Now I'm going to take some of my shells and glue a few right in here, and I'm going to glue a few there. I'm going to put some glue in here. This is what happens when your glue gets near the end. But you might want to do that anyway to dip your edge of your shells in and then glue them. You might want to wait until this has been poured off. I don't have time because the video is going to end here soon. And I don't have time to wait till that dries because I think it took a long time, as I recall, to dry. And so you're going to let that dry. Then you're going to come back and add your shells. I have a little souvenir on there too that tells a restaurant that we ate on Ferdinand Beach where those, so we went and picked up shells and then we ate there. So if you have a little souvenir like that that you would like to put on there, that'd be a good touch. Now you want to try to vary in color a little bit just to help with the art design part. See, this is what happens when you get glue and sand mixed up. I'm going to have to wash the hands off here. Okay. All right, let's go for this again. And artist hands are always messy. I think I have a whole folder of messy hand drawings. Not drawings, but pictures. Oh, art hands. They're called art hands. Now this is something the kids would like helping with. Whether you include them with the painting part or you just include them in helping put the shells on there. If you took children with you to the beach, that would be a good thing. Now yours won't be as hard to put these shells on because you will have taken the sand off, but I hate to just leave this painting without you seeing what the shells look like on there. This painting is going to want to make me go back to the beach. Gonna want it to make me go back. Or maybe the river. I live close to the Missouri River. Maybe I should go down by the river and see what kind of painting, if I could paint a nature painting, a river painting and put nature items around it. I might just have to do that. Might just have to do that. Okay. Now this should smooth down here. You can smooth it with your finger if you're afraid it's not going to, but it should smooth down. And of course you'll be dumping some of it off. And you could add less sand and then add another layer if you'd like. I think I'm going to run this tool down here because it's going to be better if it doesn't. My other one has a little bit of sand that dried around the edges. All right. So should I call this one, I bought the shells painting? I bought the shells and sand painting. I'm wishing to go to, oh, there we go. I'm dreaming of Pensacola and the white sands. Yes, this is my dream painting. That's what it is. All right, this is Sarah Poff, the multimedia storyteller. I sure hope you had fun with me today.